Hi all, this is BRR. Today we'll discuss about what is a partial views and how we are going to develop a partial view and integrate into main view in MVC. So partial view is nothing but an user control which we are using in ASP.NET Web Forms. Earlier we used to use user controls to achieve similar functionality in the ASP.NET Web Forms. And the latest versions of ASP.NET, it will become renamed as partial views, and same functionality is carrying out, and we are using same purpose for the user controls kind of thing behavior in MVC with partial views. So, like, why we are going to use user controls means, if you want to display in kind of company log or some comments about websites across all pages with a similar header and a similar footer kind of thing, we used to go for developing a user control and putting on each and every web page in the earlier ASP.NET Web Forms, so that whatever content you are putting into the user control, would be rendering in all web pages across all the web pages in the website, so that we'll be having unique look and consistent appearance will have across all the web pages. Similarly, in ASP.NET, if you want to develop similar kind of functionality, we used to go with the partial views. This partial view is nothing but this is a view. Similarly, nothing but a view that is used to prepare content in multiple view is called a partial view. So that partial view is prepared to access in the other languages, other view pages basically. That is what I am saying. If you want to develop a partial view which can be used in multiple views, that is nothing but in a partial view. So generally, these partial views are created in shared folder basically, and partial views naming convention by default. Microsoft is suggesting to create with an underscore kind of thing, so that it is very easy to recognize by a developer, by the reviewer or peer reviewer, or wherever you want to include in your models. If you put that name start with an underscore, that is what the suggestible thing to create a partial view. So as I told you, this is a partial view definition, like this is a portion of view content and it is similar to user control of web forms. So how we are going to use this partial view in MVC? There are two methods basically. One is an HTML.partial and another one is an HTML.partial. HTML.partial helper class, basically used for adopt the partial view, but it returns the output as a string format, and it is going to be stored in a value. That's why it is returning in a string type. And when it comes to render partial view, it returns an object kind of thing. That means if the things or results are being displayed in the corresponding model, and no need of writing any action, you can directly use it with results, bunch of results you want to display in the main view. Then you use an HTML partial view. By default, it returns Y. So this is the syntax of accessing in a partial view: HTML.partial or HTML.partial or a view name. Okay, there are some differences between HTML.renderPartial and HTML.partial. So we'll see what is an HTML partial first. So HTML partial, basically, as I told you, this is a kind of a partial view which returns HTML encoded string. Basically, this method can be stored in a variable since it returns a string type value. So if you want to fetch that return value from variable, you have to put that thing using an HTML dot and a partial helper class. And it is simple to use because no need of writing any action. And like render partial method is also useful when displaying data in the partial view, which is already defined in the corresponding view model. For example, if you want to show some blog comments of an article, you can use partial view method since an article information with comments are already populated in the view model. So that your article comments will be displayed in all the views with similar content. Not only blog comments. If you want to put some description about your page, or if you want to put some explanation about the process of filling the form, or the updating the form by the end user, you put some comments of some tooltip kind of thing. If you want to put the header section or footer section, you put it in partial view and use it. Used by this HTML.partial. And come to this HTML.partial view. This also do same job, similar of HTML.partial, but this is returning an HTTP response stream, which means used by a text writer object used in the current web page template. So basically, this is returning this stream kind of thing onto the output stream area where we are showing our pages like in the output stream. So this is by defaultly bunch of data will be retrieving from the corresponding model and placing it to the specific view page, main view page. This is also not required to write any action, so simple to use. And render partial method is useful when displaying data in the partial view is already corresponding view model. For example, in a blog, to show comments of an article, we would like to use render partial method. Since article information with comments are already populated in the view model, similar thing. But my one thing I can suggest you that, so if you want to display a bunch of results, you go for display using render partial view, because render partial method is very faster compared to HTML partial, because this is writing directly on the stream instead of putting it variable and getting it from the variable. Okay, now we'll see like how we can create an sample application to for a partial view and putting it to the main view, and how it is rendering in the Visual Studio. So open the Visual Studio here and create a new project, and select ASP C#, ASP.NET Web, ASP.NET Web Forms, and I can say this is like partial view demo. So once you select this and select MVC here, and you click on this particular thing, so it will add some default templates and the default views and default scripting files to your solution explorer. So once it is being added, so I'm trying to give a demo or to show a logo on a web page by using partial view concept. So I try to create a view, partial view with an image. So this is what the default application you will be seeing once you create an application. So what I will do is go to the content folder here. So it takes some time. Okay, then it's finished. So go to content folder, add an images folder here, because I'm going to add an image so that I will display that image as a logo in my main view images. So I'm going to this is my logo which I'm going to display in my view. So I'm just copying this view logo thing in my images folder here. I copied it, and go to views in the shared folder. You add the partial view here, because all the partial views are adding it here. If you look at here, the views are names are started with underscore. As I told you, the naming convention of partial view always suggestible to create with an underscore, so that everyone can easily identify and recognize this is a partial view, and you can use it in another main view. Okay, so these are the default views which are come up with the new project when you create an MVC project. So now I am going to create my own partial view. Add some view. I can say underscore header. So create partial view. This option, this checkbox, you have to select it, because otherwise it will take it as a normal layout. So once you check that option and clicking on OK, so it will create the underscore HTML, CS HTML here. This is what my partial view. Here I'm going to specify some content so that it will get displayed in my main view. Like here I'm specifying @HTML dot label of welcome to partial views in MVC, and here or like MVC showing logo. Okay, so yeah, I'm just dragging this image so that image tag will comes. This is what my the partial view content I'm going to display it now, because as I told you, I'm going to show you a logo on my main view. Go to your main view, coming to your home and index.cshtml. This is what the default view it is going to add to your project. I'm just removing these all things because I don't need all this stuff. So I just declare some div. So here I can declare one more tag, something like welcome page. This is my welcome page. So here I can call my partial view header. Okay, This is like similar, easy to put it into your main view. There's simple syntax, and you can specify. You build it, and if you run it, so this main index.cshtml is going to be render on your screen, because this is the main routing URL which is being specified in the root config.css CS file. So once it is rendering and showing on your browser, it will display first this one, and then the partial view content will be displayed up after the welcome page. Now you see these things in a browser, so it is rendering with the partial view concept. So this is what my home and index is by default, the view it is rendering. So as I mentioned, this is the welcome page I mentioned. Under this is what my partial view I created here. Welcome to partial views in MVC, showing logo. This is my logo. That's all. This is how we are using this partial views and displaying in your MVC.NET main view pages. Okay, hope this understand how to create a partial view and how to adopt using an HTML helper class, a partial method. Okay, and now coming to HTML render partial view, as I told you, this thing like I have a database where I have the employees details. This is the employee details. So I have these employee five to six members I have been. So if you want to display a bunch of details, then what you have to do is, again, as I told you, you are going to create a details.cshtml. This is my partial view, and if you look at my main view, this is index.cshtml. Before that, I'm going to add an entity model so that I can access the database columns. So here I created an employee entity model. So here I have been mentioned, these are the columns like employee ID, last name, first name, salary. So after creating an entity model with a model one kind of thing, and with the name employee, and I go to this main view. This is index.cshtml, and if you look at my the model concept, where I have this controller, home controller. Here I mentioned action index. This entities, I'm creating just DB entities creating a return view of from employees and entity employees take 3. So 3 records I'm getting it from this employee entity DB, and that thing I'm returning it here. Okay, and coming to this home controller, like this is index view. So go and see in index view. In this index view, I again used for each employee model. So you have to declare this the model here, MVC1.employee model you have to declare, and after that you put a loop for each loop and repeatedly call them using an employee ID, last name, salary. And also in third column, I'm putting some render partial view here. If you look at here, I'm not using a partial view. I'm just using a render partial of my details. This is my details I told you, comma employee. This is returning employee. If you look at details partial view, I have imported this entity framework and I put display for model, last name, salary. These 2 columns I am displaying it. Look at here, this is not a string, this is something kind of bunch of results I'm displaying in main view base, and these results are being already defined in the same controller here. If you look at here, this is my controller index, home controller. Here I specified all the relevant stuff here along with main index method. So that's why I'm just putting it here, and if you can run it, this particular thing index.html, and you will see like how the content is being rendered and displayed on your page with HTML.render partial view. So basically, only the difference is where in the HTML partial it only returns a string, and this is plain string, and you can display it as it is. But when it comes to render partial, so it is going to return some bunch of results. As I told you, ID, name, salary I have been given here. So these are the columns I have been given: ID, name, salary. After that, I put some loop and repeatedly repeating this original columns from the entity framework. So these 3 columns are being displayed under these 3 columns, and the last column is coming up from my partial view like this. This is the last column, like as I told you, only name and salary I mentioned, James and salary, range, salary, Lalvani and salary. If you look at here, only 3 records are coming out from this particular thing. Only these 3 records are coming out from the database. Even I have 5 records because I mentioned only take 5 records in my home controller query, like take only 3. So this way you can use this partial view using an HTML dot, the render partial. So this is what the main difference between HTML dot partial and HTML dot uh, partial and HTML dot render partial. Hope this clears the difference and creating a partial view and including in your main views. Okay, so please subscribe more on these videos, and this is BRR signing off this video. Thank you.